What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Impact Defense Podcast. This is episode 103, and we have an Impact Defense first. We have a special guest, my wife, Julie. She's been on the podcast before, but the unique dynamic today is the fact that you and I have never been on the podcast together.
That's a fact.
Yep. All right, so welcome, Julie. I don't use that stuff nearly enough. Anyway, welcome to the podcast, guys. Okay, so today we have me and Julie and Kylie. No
Hello.
Jada. So this is going to be a very, very interesting dynamic. We've never all three been on the podcast before. I was actually thinking back, and there is not, episode 103, there has not been a single person that has been on all 103 episodes. But I have been on all of them but three that have been published. So this marks my 100th episode that I have been on. I don't think that deserves an applause. I was just saying. But anyway, yeah, we've never had this kind of family dynamic. So this is going to be interesting for sure. Anyway, we brought Julie on to talk about when you're working with kids, you know, there are specific rules and things, and honestly things you should set up when you're working with kids. Now, we're not going to get fully into that because we have yet an ad to talk about, and we have a news story to talk about. And if I was really smart, I would have got our news story to kind of line up with our subject today, but I didn't have time to do that. But anyway, first off, the official fuel of the Impact Defense Podcast and Impact Defense everything is Blackout Coffee.
Blackout coffee.
Yes. Okay. We talked about the last time how, you know, some different types of flavors that we have. We are going to work through a bunch of the flavors. Right now they have a bunch of flavors out just for Christmas. So I think we have
Awesome.
Do what?
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. We have some of that coming in. So we're going to try some of those. But yeah, I think today is a caramel cream kind of day. Give it a try, Kylie. You're right. It is a good one. So Kylie was a big fan of the caramel cream.
Ooh.
That one's your favorite, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, you can do this two different ways. You can go through our link specifically, impactgear.live/coffee. And, or you can use the blackoutcoffee.com. Just either way, make sure you use the coupon code Impact Defense to get 10% off. Absolutely. All right. Now we're going to do a news story. So since Jada's not here, I am doing the news story. And a homeowner in El Paso, Texas, found himself staring down a burglar in the middle of the night and went toe-to-toe with the man using a machete. So an El Paso man woke up to the sound of breaking glass, and it turns out the burglar was attempting to break into his home. The burglar was wielding a large metal rod. The homeowner attempted to get the man to leave by trying to talk him out of it, and when the thief refused to leave, the homeowner confronted him with his machete. The two ended up actually fighting and exchanging blows with the weapons, and ultimately the homeowner fended him off, and he left the property. When the police finally arrived, the burglar would make a break for it, but unfortunately, or I guess actually it's fortunately, but the article says unfortunately. Unfortunately for him, he only made it a few blocks away before he was caught.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's very much so fortunate. That's a good thing. I'm glad because the guy, I mean, machetes, pretty gruesome. So yeah. I've had some interesting trainings throughout the years, and one was I trained with a specific special forces guy who was originally dropped into a country. I don't know how much I can say here and there, but they were dropped into a specific area, and because of certain, I don't know, agreements and such, they could not take firearms. Mm. And they did most of their work with machetes and stuff. Mm. Now, I mean, it was more reconish. I don't know, but they did have some situations with machetes that was quite interesting, and we did a lot of machete work that day. So yeah, that was just kind of fun. And kind of gruesome at times. I'm not going to lie. It was some of the stories that came out of that was like, ooh, okay. So, all right. Anyway. Okay. So what do y'all think about fending off burglars with machetes?
Interesting.
Works. It works. Yeah. I guess any kind of force multiplier tool kind of works. It's probably not my first choice, but
use what you have.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a baseball bat, a machete, a sword.
Yeah. Would that be your first choice?
What, machete?
Yeah.
No.
What's your first choice?
My first choice is you.
What's your second choice?
Kylie.
Oh, okay.
Wow, just give up your daughter like that.
I don't think she's giving you up. I'm thinking she says you're better at protecting the home than she is.
Maybe.
No. Yeah, but I mean, I don't even think we have a machete nearby.
Yes, we do.
We do. Oh, well, is it rusted out?
No. I think she underestimates the collection of weapons that I have.
Probably.
No, I don't.
All right. All right. Anyway. Oh, no, wait. Kylie, I know what yours is. What's your home defense weapon of choice?
Baseball bat.
Baseball bat.
And she has it.
How do I know that? Because anytime she's been left at home,
scary.
When she opens the door for you, she's got the baseball bat, Harley Quinn style, on her shoulder, waiting for you.
I don't know who Harley Quinn is.
I know. There are people that are going to be shocked at that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's get on to the meat of this. If you work with children, be it, you're a teacher, if you, or, whatever, maybe it's the business that you have, maybe it's the business that you work for, but you work with children, other people's children specifically, or maybe you volunteer, with a church or with some type of program where you work with kids through that way. There are certain boundaries and certain things that you kind of have to set up in order to keep kids safe. And that's one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on to talk about this, because Julie is the person at the front door. So when we have our self-defense seminars, we have we teach firearms, we teach abduction prevention, we teach CPR, we teach all of these things. Yes. But the main thing that we do day to day is our martial arts classes. And with the martial arts classes, Julie is always the one at the front door. She is the one that is dealing with the kids when they are not in the classes per se. Mm-hmm. And so I thought she was kind of like the perfect person to have to talk about this, because she's the one that does that day in, day out, for the most part. And she's the one that kind of has set up the rules for us here and how we are going to, deal with the kids when the parents aren't here to pick them up yet or something along those lines. So we sat down at the beginning before we did this and came up with kind of 3 points of conversation or topics of conversation that we want to make sure that we kind of cover. 3 main rules that we want to make sure that is covered and we implement, that we believe that other groups that works with children should definitely implement.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So the first one is, I think it's pretty common sense, especially for today in our times, but I've learned that not everybody thinks it's common sense. And that is, never let an adult or teen, if they're teens working with the kids, work in a room with a child alone. Never let that kind of one-on-one situation happen, behind closed doors where, okay, sometimes we may have private lessons or something like that, but it's never
another person in the building.
Yeah. There is never just those 2 people, around. There may be the only 2 on the training floor, but there's somebody else there, because it's not really appropriate. It's not, it's a good way to end up in a situation that you should never end up in. It's a good way to end up being accused of being in a situation or something that you've never been up in. And anybody that works with kids, it only takes an accusation.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
That's the fact. Yes. You have to be very careful. It doesn't matter what business you're in. It's just good practice. I mean, to have somebody else there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that goes beyond just kids, but like we're
men, women.
Yeah. But we're focused on just kind of just talking about the kids today, but definitely I think that would be absolutely hardline rule number one.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
All right. So rule number 2 would be careful what you allow and even sometimes possibly force. And I'm not saying force like you're going to do this or else, but I mean, just like, you two work together, and don't give them a choice for kids to do any type of thing like that with the opposite sex, especially with the opposite sex, or much larger, much smaller. We're in martial arts classes. There are things that we do that, grappling techniques. Sometimes somebody is sitting on top of another person and, they have to, we're teaching them how to get out of that position and things along those lines. You need to be careful. You got to be careful with like who you pair up with who. Sometimes
we don't always know somebody's story.
Exactly. Yeah. So we try our best to make sure that people know that they can come to us for one thing. Sometimes it's no big deal. I guess like Kylie, I about said you, but I realized that, some people listen to this as an audio podcast. Some people watch it. Anyway, with Kylie, like it's never been a big deal. You've worked grappling techniques, takedowns, escapes, all this kind of stuff with, guys, girls, whatever. It's not a big deal. Some people have gone through some crap in their lives that has kind of traumatized them. And when you put them in a bad situation or put them in a situation like that and don't think about it first, sometimes you're going to end up in a bad situation because somebody's going to react bad.
Yeah.
And admittedly, this kind of came out of our own mistakes.
Yes.
Because we've, didn't think about it because it's just kind of a part of like, we've done this for 20 some years, it's just whatever. And then all of a sudden, you have somebody lay down on the floor and somebody sits on top of them and they just bust out into tears. And he was like, oh, we probably should think about that.
Yeah.
But that's just a kind of another thing, right? So our last point is kind of your
pet peeve.
Pet peeve. That's the words I was looking for. Pet peeve. And that is the drop off and pick up of children.
Yes.
And this is the one, I think the first 2 points, a lot of times parents understand.
Mm-hmm.
You can get that and parents are like, yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah, okay, I got you. Drop off and pick up. Sometimes parents don't get it.
No, they don't. It's been baffling at times. It's not unusual.
Okay, first off, why don't you tell them, since it's your rule? Yeah, I deal with the floor. Mm-hmm. You deal with the door.
That's right.
Okay. Now, it's your rule. So what's your rule on that?
Well, we teach safety, so we need to be a good example. And it's sometimes made me look like the Wicked Witch of the West.
You haven't told your rule yet.
Okay. Yeah, the rule is if you drop off your kids, you need to come in and pick them up. I'm not going to just let kids fly out the door.
Yeah.
And most of the time I have a door person, not doorman, because sometimes it's a girl.
Sometimes me.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a very necessary thing to keep from escapees. We have classes for children as young as 3. They're quick. They're ninjas. They really are. But it's just, if you teach safety, you need to be implementing safety as well.
Well, even if you don't teach safety, even if we're not talking about other martial arts school owners most of the time, this is just general people that work with, whatever. But like, if you're going to deal with other people's kids, you got to think about the things that some people don't think about.
Yes, indeed.
Because safety is
once
a priority.
They come in the door, they're my kid.
Yeah.
And you're going to play by my rules. So, like it or not. And some adults don't like my rules, but it's okay.
Yeah. So our school is on a side street.
Yes.
Just off Main Street.
Yes.
But people fly through here sometimes. Mm-hmm. And not all the parents see it.
No.
There are transfer trucks that deliver to the place across from us. Not all the parents see it. So they don't know all the things that we see every day. Mm-hmm. You know, and just sometimes, let's be honest, it doesn't matter. If you are in the city, there are times when sketchy looking people walk by your business. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah. Or whatever. It may not be business, but whatever. Your place.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily just want to like let kids. And we have had some parents through the years think that it was perfectly appropriate for their 3 to 6 year old to run out the door and across the street to a parking lot.
And I have held those kids in the building and made the people get out of their car and come get them.
Yeah.
And I have not been a bit sorry for it.
Yeah. And I think the big thing is though, once parents start to realize why, it does not bother them as bad. You know, and sometimes we've had a few parents that have been like, oh, like, why? You're being whatever. And
paranoid?
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
And I don't know if a parent straight up said that to you, but a parent did say, I know, but a parent did say something similar to that to you.
I mean,
the other day.
And what they do with their children on their turf, you know, we can give them guidelines for that, but we're responsible for them on this property. Right.
So, but we had a parent say something not long ago to you, and didn't call you paranoid, but whatever they said to you, you know, it was along those lines, probably a nicer way of putting the same thing. And I thought your response was very good.
You have a lot of faith in my memory. Faith that is unwarranted. And I can't remember for the life
Talking about the type of business we run.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're in the safety and the, you know, abduction prevention and all that business.
Yeah.
In every aspect of what we do. Our kids' classes, whatever. Self-defense is like a major part of everything we teach.
Yeah.
And it would be a great disservice if we didn't act that out.
Yeah, that's true.
Very true. Then, you know, I remember now what you were talking about because they were like, oh, didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But I've had preteens look at me like I was nuts, and that's okay. Because I'm like, where you going? And if it's daylight, I do just sort of watch from the door and make sure everybody gets where they're supposed to get. But I'm watching.
Yeah.
But now it gets dark at like what seems like 2:00. And, I hate it. I'm not a fan.
She said.
And so it makes it harder because it is dark.
Yeah.
And so I have to be a little meaner and a little stricter.
Yeah.
But I just am.
So, yeah, I think, you know, I'm sure through the years we've upset a few parents, but it's not majorly. And most of the times when they hear why, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, so we're in here teaching your child in a regular class. You know, right now we're working on a lot of self-defense in our classes, and a lot of that is dealing with abduction prevention and, you know, getting out of when someone grabs you and dealing with all kinds of things like that. When we're doing that all the time with these kids, and then all of a sudden we go, okay, just be free, run out the door.
Yeah.
Scatter. Find your parents. They're in a parking lot somewhere near the area.
And I have, you know, and we're not totally heartless. If there's somebody that's having some mobility issues, you let me know. I'll walk them out.
Yeah. Yeah. We have walked kids out. We've had it where parents will pull right up to the door, But the big thing is we just don't like, there's a street right in front of our door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you
right
know?
there.
And there is a parking lot straight across the street. There's a parking lot that we have that is our parking lot. It's kind of diagonally across the street. And you got to cross over 2 streets to get there. And then there is a parking lot.
And I've seen
that people
things that
shouldn't use, but
make
they do anyway.
me cringe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just didn't.
Yeah. There's a parking lot up closer to Main Street that people aren't technically supposed to use because it's not our parking lot.
Yeah. And we try to tell people.
But
we
still,
really
yeah,
do.
you know, when a kid runs out, we never know exactly which direction they're going to go if they just run straight out the door, and that's never a good thing.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So that one being Julie's pet peeve. That's kind of the have good, solid set rules for drop off and pick up. If you're going to have if you have a business or a volunteer thing or whatever, business group, whatever, where kids are coming in, then have a good set thing for drop off and pick up. You need to have good, solid set rules.
Yes. And I know this is probably a little tangent, but that's okay. You're known for rabbit trails.
I was about to say, this is the Impact Defense Podcast. We have discussed many times my ADD, and we have talked about all kinds of crazy different things on certain episodes.
And while we are a quote unquote safe place, it has really amazed me when complete strangers who don't know us from Ronald McDonald just
I hope
leave.
people can tell the difference between me and Ronald McDonald.
We don't have near the makeup on. Anyway, it's just been baffling. You need to know, especially in this day and age, don't just, we encourage parents to come check us out.
Yeah.
You come with your child and you check us out. We don't make you
And I
stay
realize
away.
not every business and volunteer organization can do that. You know, not all of them can.
Yeah.
So,
But we've had complete strangers who knew, they signed a waiver and out the door they went. I've never seen these
here's
kids.
my kid.
And I was left going, did that just happen? Really? I mean, yes, they're safe with us, but you just met us. How do you know that?
Yeah.
And it's just, breaks my heart sometimes.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it completely. All right. So as we're kind of wrapped up that, you know what hit me?
What?
We're on a podcast, just the 3 of us, and we didn't take time to like embarrass Kylie or anything.
Oh, my word. How rude are we?
I know. It's like, we were talking about this is the first time we've had like the family dynamic here, and we've never really we didn't even explore the family dynamic. Kylie, how does it feel to have both of your parents on a podcast?
Weird.
You haven't talked much. That doesn't mean a whole lot, but sometimes you're just a person on a corner in front of a mic.
Sometimes I feel like I don't have the energy to speak.
You can't be that tired, child. So, no, I just so Julie, I guess this is your 3rd or 4th episode on the podcast.
Third.
Or 4th.
Third.
3rd.
4th.
Because there's that one where we
the
interviewed you, and then there was the one with all the girls, and now there's this one.
Okay. All right.
Seems like I thought there was another one in there.
That's what I was trying to remember, but I couldn't come up with another one. So,
I don't know.
3rd seems
Usually
right.
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Unless that the one that we interviewed you was a 2-parter.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Because that one was entitled Mrs. Impact.
My queen.
Yes.
Crown on the head.
Oh my. So, I guess something we want to remind everybody is know where you are leaving your children.
Yes.
Pay
Yeah, so because
attention.
there's 2 different ways of looking at that. If there's another way to look at it is like, if you are a parent, what kind of rules would you like to see implemented in a place you're going to have your kid educated in or, be a participant with?
And I'd say 8 times out of 10, I'm probably more strict than what they have
Yeah.
on their own. But then again, we are responsible for those children.
Yeah.
And I
think
say
you have to
children,
be.
and I'm watching adults
okay.
cross the street at night. So,
Yeah. So I think we have to be into it to an extent because, I mean, think about it. In a lot of ways, we're more strict with other people's children than we are with our own.
yeah, that's true.
Okay. And several reasons. We know how much, at what level we can trust our own.
Most of the time. The stories we could tell.
Maybe the embarrassment's starting now.
Yep.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, we know at what level we can trust our own. The thing is, with a kid, we know how they act here, but we don't know what they're going to be like once they walk out the door. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you can't just like automatically assume because you think you know that person's child that you know how they're going to act the moment they walk out. So we just got back. So it's just the three of us for a moment. And we just got back from the beach a couple weeks back. Mm-hmm. 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 There was that new bag that I carried with us to the beach. Did either one of you even notice it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So why does Kylie like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it your gun bag?
My gun bag. Yes. That's what Kylie is referring to it as, the gun bag. So that was an Elite Survival Systems bag. And it's a backpack. It's a tactical backpack. Doesn't look like it just looks like a regular backpack. Mm-hmm. But you can like carry all your stuff in there. Okay. So you guys know me with this kind of stuff. I prefer a bag or anything tactical that does not look tactical. Mm-hmm. Okay. I want something that just kind of looks normal. Mm-hmm. I don't want somebody to look and go like, that dude's carrying a gun, or anything along those lines. Well, to the beach, did it look like, I'm asking you, my wife, because, Kylie refers to it as gun bag. Did it look like a gun bag?
It just looked like a backpack.
It just looked like a backpack. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it was the Stealth SBR backpack from Elite Survival Systems. And, yep, it is pretty flipping awesome. They got a bunch of different bags. They got a whole bunch of different bags and different ways to carry, concealed and everything else, depending on the laws in your state. So check that out. But anyway, check them out, guys, over at impactgear.live/elite.
Yep.
They're pretty awesome. They are a fairly new partner of the podcast. And definitely please use that link because that helps us out.
What was that link again?
That link again. You are awesome.
I know.
That link was impactgear.live/elite.
If you guys are enjoying this podcast, go ahead and go over to Apple Podcasts or any type of podcast listening thingy.
Podcast listening thingy.
Yes. Go ahead and rate us and write a review.
Catcher was the word I think you're looking for. Podcast catcher.
We already had this discussion. If I don't know the terminology, I say thingy, doohickey, or that thing.
Believe me, I know. All right. Yep. Rate us and write a review. I think we had reviews for the last 2 episodes. So you guys, if you will go out there and rate us and write reviews, we'll have more reviews to read. Okay. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Julie, for being a guest host on today's podcast. This has been fun.
Yes, it has.
And I'm glad you enjoy that because we might have to come up with a reason. Oh, wait.
What?
I forgot to mention. I looked down and I noticed that we now have 2 new Impact Defense shirts. So, yep. We have 2 new designs of the Impact Defense shirts. So you can catch those over on our website at impactdefense.online. Obviously, buying anything over there is going to help us out even more than buying anything through any of our affiliates that work with us. Mm-hmm. So, And also you can check out anything that we are doing. We're still working on the website. We're having some issues. We had a guy work on the website and he did a really neat redesign, but he broke a lot of stuff. So you can't go on the website right now and book any classes. I've got to go back in there and try to fix all the things. Now it looks good. It looks really good, but he broke all of our links. So, it is what it is. Got to work on all that kind of stuff too. All right, guys. Thank you very much. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.